Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're basically tearing up the old rulebook on how to handle cyber attacks. See, for years, we've had this standard procedure, this playbook for what to do. But in the world we live in now, it's completely obsolete. The good news is the U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology, you'll hear me call them NIST, they've just released a new one. And trust me, it changes everything. So just think about that question for a second. That heart-stopping moment you realize you've been hacked. What's the very first thing you do? Who's the first person you call? For a long time, there was a pretty standard answer to that, but that playbook is now dangerously out of date.
All right, let's start with how we used to think about this. Traditionally, we treated a cyber attack a lot like a house fire. An alarm goes off, a specialized team of digital firefighters rushes in, they put out the flames, and then, crisis over. Everyone just goes back to their day-to-day. It was this very reactive, one-and-done kind of approach.
Now, to really get this shift, we need to be on the same page with our terms. According to the US government, a cybersecurity incident isn't just, a successful, full-blown hack. It's any event that threatens your data's integrity, its confidentiality, or even just its availability. And that broad definition is absolutely key to this whole new way of thinking. So this firefighting approach wasn't just some casual metaphor. It was actually codified, written down in NIST's previous guide to incident response. And look, it was a model that was designed for a much simpler digital world, a time when these kinds of threats were a lot less common and, frankly, a lot less sneaky. And here it is. This is the old model, and you can see just how simple and elegant it is. It's this really clear cyclical process. You prepare, then you detect and analyze an attack, you contain and eradicate it, and then you recover. And that last step, post-incident activity, that's where you're supposed to do all the learning. It's a very neat, very linear progression. And you know what? This model worked, for a while anyway. It was actually pretty effective in a world where a major cyber attack was a rare thing, an exception to the rule. But that world, well, that world is long gone. Because today, the game has totally changed. The sheer volume, the speed, the sophistication of cyber threats, it's just made that old reactive model completely obsolete. And hey, don't just take my word for it. NIST themselves say it right here. Incident response is no longer about just reacting to these isolated events. It's about constantly managing risk in a world where threats are everywhere, all the time. It's less like fighting a fire and more like living in a constant hurricane. You can't just wait for it to pass. You have to build a structure that's designed to withstand the storm. So to deal with this new reality, NIST has given us a completely new blueprint. It's a huge shift away from that reactive mindset and towards a culture of continuous integrated resilience. And this slide just illustrates the new philosophy perfectly. It's not a simple loop anymore, is it? It's this interconnected ecosystem. And look closely, that lessons learned piece, it's not the last step anymore. It's the central hub. It's constantly feeding information back into every single other function, making the entire system stronger in real time. It's literally the beating heart of resilience. This really is the core of it all, a fundamental change in how we think. We're moving from being a reactive fire department to being proactive urban planners for fire safety, right? Instead of just showing up when there's an emergency, you're now building security into the very fabric of your organization from the ground up. Okay, I know this new model can look a little complicated, but you can really break it down into 3 interconnected parts. First, you've got preparation. That's all the ongoing work to protect your systems. Then you've got the incident response itself, the specific actions you take during an attack. But the real game changer here is that third piece, the continuous feedback loop of lessons learned. It's like an engine that's constantly analyzing what's happening and using that knowledge to make the whole system smarter and stronger, literally minute by minute. And this new model makes one thing crystal clear. Cybersecurity is no longer just the IT department's problem. Not even close. It is now officially a team sport. For a response to actually be successful, you need a coordinated effort from across the entire organization. It's not just the tech folks. You need leadership making the big calls on resources. You need legal to navigate all the compliance issues. Public affairs has to manage the story. Even human resources plays a critical role. In this new world, pretty much every employee is part of the cybersecurity team. So the ultimate goal of this entire new playbook is really to redefine what success even looks like. It's not just about surviving an attack anymore. It's about learning from it, adapting because of it, and actually emerging stronger on the other side. Because in the world of cybersecurity, let's be honest, there is always a next time. And that leaves us with one final question for you to think about. In this world of constant threats, is your organization just building a fortress? A static defense that's just waiting to be breached? Or are you learning to be resilient, developing the ability to adapt, to learn, and to grow stronger from every single challenge? The choice really is yours.